Hey all, I'm back working from the US where I was planning on making some videos, but I ended up not being able to because there was a far more important video that I needed to make, and every time I tried to do it I couldn't really seem to do it justice. So I'm doing it now and hopefully I can do a good job. We'll see how it goes, but most of you already know that the quilting community lost, in my opinion, one of its finest members, and someone that I was lucky enough to call a friend just a few weeks ago. So I think for a lot of us the feelings are pretty raw still, and we're still processing what that means, but clearly it's something that we need to address and something that we need to try and deal with as a community, I think. So I want to make a video talking about Chris, and try and capture the impact that he had on the local community, as well as the friends he made internationally. So I'm going to try and do just that. But I guess the sad and more important reason for this video is actually that Chris's passing's got even harder for a lot of us, because Chris was not just a friend to all of us, but he was a husband and a father, and financially he was supporting his family to do all the sorts of things that families need to do, right? So his passing has put a financial burden upon the family, and for various reasons life insurance won't pay out for up to 6 months. So there is this interim period where the family's left in a bit of limbo, where they're sort of waiting for that life insurance, but still need to get on and do all the stuff that they would normally do in the absence of Chris. So they're taking the right actions. They're selling some of the retro gaming stuff that Chris used to have, which is raising a bit of funds, which is cool. And there's already been a massive amount of support from the community, from the GoFundMe, to make sure that they have everything that they need in the short term. So if you weren't aware of the GoFundMe, you can check it out. There'll be a link in the description below, where essentially you can donate to support the family over the next few months. If you are a patron to this channel, then your subscription will be going directly towards that GoFundMe, just to help with the various costs that will be coming up over the next few months, to make sure that they don't have any additional burdens upon what they're already dealing with as a family. So that's what we're going to try and do. If you have the means to donate, then that would be absolutely amazing, and I know that Chris would really appreciate anything that you could give. So if you are in that fortunate position, then please consider Chris's GoFundMe. But if you're not in that position, then please do not worry about it. Don't think that Chris would want you to be in a worse place because of it. He certainly would not want that upon you. So yeah, don't put yourself out in a bad way or put yourself in hardship to support. But if you are fortunate enough to be able to do so, then that'd be awesome. And if you find yourself in a position in future where you might be able to support, then it'd be awesome if you considered that GoFundMe, to be able to help cover some of the costs associated with all of what we're doing at the moment. So in the interim, Notts Kill Team is doing a whole bunch to try and support the family. It's really important that they feel supported and that we give them whatever they need. So Jason is leading the charge on that, which is really awesome. So he's done a whole bunch of fundraising, and a lot of the tournament fundraising will go towards that as well, which is awesome. So even just turning up to a Notts Kill Team event and playing Kill Team, you'll be supporting the family, which is pretty awesome to do. There's a few additional ways that the group's going to be remembering Chris. You'll notice the logo for Notts Kill Team has been updated. The logo for the Notts Kill Team has been updated to have Chris's very recognisable, great big beard. So it'll be something that means that every time you look at the logo, you are remembering Chris, which is awesome. A bunch of the awards for the tournaments as well will be dedicated to Chris, for his just being an all-round epic dude, as good gamer, good sportsman, good hobbyist, etc., etc. So those are some small things that we are trying to do to make sure that Chris is in our memories and in the mind of the group going forwards, which is awesome. Additionally, Jason has submitted an application to Games Workshop for their Warhammer Heroes annual thing that they do, and we'll see if he's lucky enough to be selected for that. I think it'd be awesome if he was. But what I thought I'd do is I'd just read that application, because I think it captures perfectly the essence of Chris, and I thought I couldn't do a better job personally myself. So I thought I would share that with the community so that everyone can know how much impact Chris made to so many people, and the various ways in which he did it. It's a bit of an emotional read, so I'm going to try and get through it as best I can and capture all the important bits, but it might be a little bit chopped up here and there just so I can get through. But I'll start reading Jason's application now. So I'm not sure where to start with Chris's story, to be honest. I know no matter what I write, it isn't going to do anything near enough to explain exactly how huge an impact he has had on the lives of everyone he has interacted with. Chris joined the Knots Kill Team group when we were just starting out in mid-2022. He came along to a meet up at a range at Warhammer World. I remember him sending me a message telling me, "I'm the big dude with an orange beard, you can't miss me." And he wasn't wrong. He was a huge behemoth of a man. Tall, broad shoulders and a long beard and a death metal band t-shirt. He looks really intimidating and imposing, and my first impression was I'd probably have to be on my best behaviour, because I didn't want to get on his bad side. Fast forward 30 minutes, he was moving his Ultramarine ancestors around the Kill Team board and telling me about why he loved movements as much as he did. As I got to know him more and more, it became obvious that anything bigger than his physical stature was his heart and his personality. Chris became the beating heart of the group in no time at all. As the group grew and more people got involved, it was obvious that people flocked to Chris and wanted to be around him. He was so full of life and positivity that it became completely overwhelming and infectious. Chris would regularly meet new players, give up his own gaming time to teach people the game and share his passion for the hobby and the game with them. I don't think there was ever a player that he introduced to the game that didn't come back. Chris later took his passion for the hobby and introducing the people to the new hobby into his work. He worked as a teacher and decided to start a Warhammer club at his school to introduce his students to the game and help them with the hobby. He did this in his own time, cobbling together the resources together on his own and often at his own expense, for no other reason than the fact that he loved the game, loved the hobby, and wanted to share it with everyone. Chris helped to organise Knots Kill Team events. Often we'd run tournaments and Kill Team events, and the budget would start to run thin before we got around to arranging prizes. Yeah, that's true. Chris would regularly make our trophies from scratch, purchasing the materials himself and then taking out his own hobby time to build, paint and assemble trophies that we would then be able to give away to winners at the event. He wouldn't just rush to cobble together something for the sake of it. He'd make sure it was a trophy that he himself would want to take home as a winner. Even if that meant it cost him a bit more money for premium materials or took a bit longer to get that high quality finish that he wanted. And that was just the tip of the iceberg, really. He would help by making voting slips, certificates, and he would then build and paint terrain. He'd even lend his own models out to players that didn't have a team or didn't have a specific team, just to try and make sure anyone that wanted to be involved could be involved. As a Kill Team player, Chris's star started to rise and rise. He would regularly win Best Opponent and Best Sportsman awards because everyone just loved sitting across the table from him. If anyone reading this ever played against Chris, you'll know that he went out of his way to make sure that you enjoyed spending time with him more than you did playing the game itself. It honestly ended up being more of a shock when he didn't win those awards than when he did. Chris managed to win the first Best Overall World Championship invite from the Warhammer World event in 2023. And then he decided the global community needed to see more of him, so he went on to win another event in 2024 and went back to Atlanta for the second year running. At World, he made friends with just about everyone he met, and Chris struggled in 2023 with a bit of imposter syndrome, as he felt that he didn't deserve to be at the World Championships as he hadn't won first place at a tournament. But in 2024, he used that experience of winning of a best overall ticket I went on to talk to some of the other best overall winners and made them realise that they belonged to be there just as much, if not more so, than everyone else that was there. If anyone was ever struggling, Chris would usually be the first person to make contact with them. Chris would be instrumental at celebrating everyone else's successes, making sure we all knew just how well we had painted our models, clearly not me, that's Jason, or how amazing our performance at a tournament or event had been. On a personal level, Chris became a close friend to almost everyone. I know that he went out of his way to help me through some more difficult periods of my life by sharing his wisdom, offering advice where he could, and sometimes just using his incredible humour to lighten my mood. As we share stories about all the different experiences we shared with Chris, this really is the underlying theme of his legacy. He went out of his way to become more than just a man that happened to also play Kill Team. He went out of his way to make sure that we all knew we had a friend in him. I realised I typed a lot more than I originally intended to, and to be honest, it's nowhere near enough to explain exactly how good a human he really was. Chris was the epitome of everything this hobby should be about. These are just some of my own personal experiences with him, but there are hundreds more from players across the globe. Even if Chris can't become a Warhammer hero, it's nice to think that people outside our own circles will be able to hear and talk about how much of a hero he is to all the people whose lives he improved by just being himself. And while it would probably be frowned upon if we tried to entomb him in a dreadnought so that he could continue his service, we can adopt the values and morals he gave to us all on his own. And in that way, he gets to live on with us all. That's the end of the application. I think Jason perfectly captured the essence of Chris. And in my opinion about Chris, he was always able to make the smallest of things just fun and silly. One of my favourite memories was just him cutting out a cardboard crown for himself just so he could brag about his successes. And in my eyes, he'll always be a king. So I'm going to end the video here. For those of you who've already donated, like, a massive thank you. To my patrons, I thank you again. You can know that your money is going to go to a good cause. I love this community, I really do. The support it gives each other is just amazing. And if you do need any help, just reach out. Grief hits us all in different ways, and Chris certainly would not want you to be on your own, but instead to be surrounded by love and laughter. And finally, if you're ever in doubt about going to see your friends for a bit of a catch up, just go and do it, because you never know when you next get to roll some dice. And finally, to Chris, rest easy, friend. You'll be remembered.